Limbo Infomatrix is a simulation that opens up after the raid defeats system daemons. Its portal is guarded by optimized memory probe P2Z. For many guilds, this will be the boss to work on after system daemons, as it is, in my opinion, the easiest out of the 3 possible bosses. Limbo, like system daemons, drop gloves and boots tokens, and also the tanking heavy guns for engineers. This fight requires 3 tanks and 3 healers. I recommend having each raid member bring 2 interrupts. No movement or CC break ability is required. The raid will be divided into 3 groups, each with at least 1 tank and 1 healer. I recommend doubling up on healers in melee heavy groups in order to increase overall raid survivability during progression. Upon entering the simulation, you'll notice tornadoes all around. At the start of the fight, each player is granted a significant speed buff that will help him or her traverse the massive desert. This speed buff can be refreshed or reapplied by the tornadoes found throughout the desert. The tornadoes do not deal damage to the players and can launch players in the direction they are moving toward. To minimize travel time, players can hop from tornado to tornado. The next thing you'll notice is the Dehydration Timer under your event log. This is the Enrage timer. After the fight begins, the timer will increase at varied speeds depending on what the raid is doing during the fight, and upon reaching 100%, the entire raid will die in a matter of seconds. The speed for which the timer increases was greatly nerfed in a patch, so the timer is fairly trivial now. So why split into 3 groups? The map itself is circular, with 6 large rocks around the edge and 9 craters throughout. The raid should divide the map into thirds, assigning each of the 3 groups to each of the 3 quadrants covering 2 rocks and 3 craters. The fight has 3 cycles. At the start of each cycle, a mirage of a temple will appear at one of the 6 rocks around the edge, and a keeper of sand sits atop the temple. He is the boss of this encounter. The group assigned to that rock should gather and engage the keeper as soon as possible. I will go over the keeper's abilities in a few minutes. When a keeper is killed, those in the temple receive a 10-minute debuff that prevents them from stepping into another temple without dying, and a new mirage will spawn at another rock. A new group will have to engage the new keeper. When the 3rd keeper dies, the encounter is defeated. Meanwhile, 2 Infomatrix antlions will spawn at 2 of the 9 craters throughout the desert. If left alone, they will speed up the Dehydration Timer. Once both are engaged, the timer will slow down to its normal speed. The 2 groups now on the keeper should spread out to find and kill the antlions. The challenge for this fight is Havoc in Limbo, which requires the raid to kill 9 antlions before defeating the encounter. The challenge will complete itself naturally if the groups are consistently killing the antlions. The antlion itself is nothing special, it can cast several abilities. First is a frontal polygon smash, which deals a significant amount of damage and knocks players down. Next is Desert Call, a quick 0.8 second cast that summons 3 worms on the players, dealing damage and knocking them up after 1.5 seconds. Note that while the knock-up damage is minimal, the worms subsequently burrow down, and that damage is quite significant. The last thing the antlion can cast is Thrash, an interruptible 6-second cast that deals massive AoE damage after the cast is complete. Simply interrupt the cast. The antlion has 3 interrupt armors. Note that throughout the antlion engagement, it periodically spews out little squids around it that slowly move back toward it. The squids can be consumed by players for a 1-minute buff of 5% increased damage dealt per stack for a maximum of 5 stacks. The squids likewise buff the antlions if consumed by them. To avoid needing to chase after the squids, players can simply stand right on top of the antlion for instant squid consumptions. Lastly, at 45 seconds into the fight, and every minute after that, a giant worm will swallow one of the crater groups and teleport the players into its stomach. Heal through the stomach acid, kill the intestinal wall, and right-click to exit the stomach. Now back to the keepers. Being the boss of this encounter, the keeper is understandably the most difficult part. Each of the 3 groups must defeat a keeper. If a keeper is not engaged, it will summon additional giant worms on the created groups every 20 seconds. The keeper has 4 static abilities. First is Sand Trap, a short uninterruptible cast that spawns 3 circular telegraphs on the 3 random players. The telegraphs deal a significant amount of damage every tick and lasts for 5 seconds. Simply roll out of the telegraph after the spawn. Note that the telegraphs do not always appear under the chosen players, so everyone in the keeper group should be ready to move out of the trap if it appears under them. Second is Spurring Strikes, an 8-second uninterruptible channel that spawns mortar shell type telegraphs on random players for the duration. It does a moderate amount of damage, so avoid getting hit. Every 3rd cast after engagement is Exhaust, a 2-second uninterruptible cast that knocks everyone away from the keeper. Note that Exhaust can knock players off the temple, so be sure to walk up close to the keeper during the cast, or have your back to an elevated platform. Exhaust is always followed by Desiccate, an 8-second interruptible channeling spell that starts doing AoE damage after a few seconds. The keeper has 3 interrupt armors, and the group must interrupt the channel. At approximately 45%, the keeper will cast Summon Remnants, a 2-second uninterruptible spell that summons 2 adds. The adds should be picked up with the tank and be cleaved down with the boss. The adds have 1 interrupt armor each, and have interruptible abilities that should be interrupted for damage mitigation and moments of opportunity. Every 3rd cast after Summon Remnants is Exhaust, followed by Desiccate. Throughout the engagement, the keeper will summon Desert Swarms around the platform. The small circular telegraphs will rotate in a stationary donut for the remainder of the encounter. Up to 4 Desert Swarms can spawn on the platform as the fight progresses. Keep track of the swarm's path and avoid taking too much damage from them. The keeper's last 2 abilities are Empty Energies and Awaken Matrix. One of these 2 abilities will be casted once during each cycle. Awaken Matrix is a 2-second uninterruptible spell that puts a target on a random player's head. The target can switch based on proximity, and a line telegraph will begin spawning under the targeted player every second for the next 10 seconds. The targeted player can circle strafe around the boss to fan out the line telegraphs to avoid dying. Empty Energies is a 10-second uninterruptible channel that greatly reduces the group's movement speed and shoots out star-shaped projectiles from the keeper at a random member of the group. The projectile deals a moderate amount of damage and will keep following that one player for the duration of the channel. This can be avoided by circle strafing at a distance. And that's it for Limbo Infomatrix. Stay tuned for more Datascape boss guides in the near future.